In the 1940s and 1950s, communication technology was booming in urban areas. But in rural areas, telephone service was scarce. The venture that would become Valley Telephone Cooperative began with J.T. Mayo and his wife Zelda, who lived in San Juanito, Texas at the time. The muddy road that led to town was troublesome to cross after some rain. Not to mention, the arrival of their son was soon expected.
My mother discovered that she was pregnant, and very early on she realized she was living in the country, and we only had one car, far away from everybody, and she was concerned about any type of medical issues, and she saw an ad in the Farmer Stockman that said that the government was offering some grants to start telephone cooperatives, and she pestered my dad until he agreed to go attend a meeting over at Monte Alto at the Rio Farms Community Center, and he attended that and got a lot of information, came back to our area and started working with other people that were interested in getting telephones.
Despite the lack of capital and technical expertise, a group of local residents in Willacy, Hidalgo, Kennedy, Cameron, and Stark counties committed themselves to the goal of bringing telephones to their community. They held meetings in an attempt to bring a large telephone company to the area, but these companies discovered that offering services in sparsely populated regions would be too expensive and unprofitable. For members of these rural communities, creating a cooperative was their last resort.
The larger companies, the AT&Ts, the Southwestern Bells in this area, and General Telephone, had simply passed over the rural areas because there weren't enough people per mile.
The Rural Electrification Administration would grant the community long-term low-interest loans to start the telephone cooperative. However, the process for approval was not all that simple.
It's not so simple. When you have a telephone system, you have to put wires and cables and telephone poles in those days, and you have to buy equipment and connect all that.
The REA repeatedly rejected the residents, causing many to lose interest, but the lack of funds and closed doors did not stop the process.
They ended up taking petitions around door to door and getting people to sign up and donate some money.
Many were skeptical about applying to create a cooperative. Some refused to apply until signs of construction were taking place. A meeting was arranged on September 28, 1950 in Monte Alto, Texas to formally appoint directors and complete government paperwork to organize a cooperative. Several applications were successfully gathered with the expectation of more to come, but the REA had yet to approve a loan.
The company got started truly on a shoestring and was managed nickels and dimes at a time for the first 10 to 15 years until there was some breathing room to start actually having some discretionary spending.
By April 22, 1952, the cooperative was officially established. At last, on October 23, 1953, the first REA loan of $351,000 was approved. The loan was enough to begin expanding the cooperative.
But in terms of learning how to build a telephone network, none of them knew anything about that. They had to learn that as they progressed and as they got the equipment. They have a big piece of equipment that would ship in, and they'd all look at it and try to figure out what to do with it.
Stillman Exchange had its first long-distance call when J.B. Pinson, the first president of Valley Telephone, made a call to his mother who lived in Oklahoma. By that time, Zelda's son was old enough to use a phone on his own.
On my first birthday, they had their first directors meeting, and when I was 6 years old, we got our first telephone.
At the time, only party lines were provided in rural areas. Various homes would share a telephone line, which meant eavesdropping, or what was known as rubbering, wasn't shocking. As time passed, improvements were made and private lines became available. 15 years after the cooperative was established, Hurricane Beulah blew into South Texas, devastating the region and causing thousands of dollars in damage to Valley Telephone Cooperative alone. Through hard work and determination, the cooperative managed to recover stronger than ever. As the cooperative progressed, working from different offices across Raymondville became difficult, bringing about the construction of the new building in the 1980s. The company has managed to build networks with state and national organizations, and has become the primary service provider for over 15,000 customers in a 10,000 square mile service area in rural South Texas.
The cooperative is there for the people, and we are dedicated to trying to bring affordable and quality service, which is a different concept than the regular business model, and that's what I'm proud to carry on that tradition.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get that taken care of for you. I'll be right back.
Take care.
Since its humble beginnings more than 60 years ago, the number of members has increased 400%. With telephone, television, and internet service now available, this establishment is set to assist generations of ranchers, farmers, and rural businesses for the years to come.